we, for whatever reason, headlined the second day of a metal festival in the Black Forest. Well, we had played there before, and the metal guys that ran the place really liked us, so they put us on the bill. But as the headliner, though. So if you look at the poster, it's all like metal-ease writing, and then the Phenomenauts.
It looks like a bunch of twisted bushes. You can't read it.
Yeah.
And then us.
And it was at it gets better. It was at a old World War II munitions bunker in the Black Forest.
Wow.
And
so it's all brick castle kind of.
Yeah, and we played, and I remember we started playing. There's all these metalheads in the crowd, and they're just all kind of like have their arms crossed, and they're like kind of not. We started purposefully with kind of like a really rockin' song to get them on our side, and it only took the first 8 bars for them to just start headbanging. It was awesome.
Science is such for truth. Whoa! It only finds facts, it has no agenda. Reason could never hurt.
Hello, welcome to 3 Gigs, the podcast that tells the stories of 3 shows that have had a profound effect on a performer's life and career. Their first show, their best show, and their worst show. I'm your host, Dominic Davey, and today my guests are Commander Angel Nova and Leftenant AR-7 from the band, the Phenomenauts. This episode of 3 Gigs is brought to you by FreshCleanTees.com. It works like a shave club, but they send you t-shirts, super awesome t-shirts. And they have a special offer for all the listeners of 3 Gigs. Save 20% off your first order by going to FreshCleanTees.com and entering the coupon code GIG at checkout. That's FreshCleanTees.com with offer code GIG. The Phenomenauts started back in 2000 out of Oakland, California, and they combine elements of rock and roll, punk rock, glam, garage rock, and new wave with a futuristic science fiction theme, and they dubbed their style rock and roll. They gained notoriety in 2003 for actually sneaking on to the band's Warped Tour and following the tour in their own vehicle and performing at each stop for several weeks, ending up becoming the de facto breakfast band, literally cooking breakfast for everyone on the tour. And that's actually how I met them, but more on that later. The band dresses in uniform, and most songs involve topics of science, space exploration, robots, and the future. The band even has decorated their vehicles to match their science fiction theme, and their live performances are huge, with epic levels of crowd participation and special effects. No, seriously, you have to see it to believe it, it's awesome. The Phenomenauts also use their music to promote science education and learning, playing and promoting events such as the Bay Area Science Festival and March for Science. They're an incredible band, and when I found out that my band Tsunami Bomb was being paired up with them for a benefit show for North Bay fire victims in our hometown of Petaluma, California at the Phoenix Theater, I knew that this was a perfect time and excuse to get them on 3 Gigs. And thankfully, both Commander Angel Nova and Leftenant AR-7 were able to make some time to speak with me and share some stories about shows, starting with their first shows in the Phenomenauts.
Well, I'll go first. I'm Angel Nova. That's not why I'll go first. But I was telling people who was talking.
It's alphabetically by first name, I guess, ahead of AR-7, so that's fine.
Our first show was as a band called Space Patrol. We played on the street down at Fisherman's Wharf, and we had all white jumpsuits and white karate helmets, and we had taken headphones, like old, like 80s kind of headphones. Mm-hmm. This wasn't in the 80s, but that's the kind we could afford.
He's not that old.
Yeah. And we made them into like microphones, because a diaphragm works the same, as a speaker or a microphone. and they would like would stick out of the side and we'd like sing into them. So we had like these little these little mouth pieces and like these white karate helmets and these white jumpsuits. And I played accordion or ukulele, and we also had this instrument called the gatanjo, which was a guitar neck on a snare drum, so it was like a banjo.
Okay.
Made out of a guitar, so it was tuned like a guitar.
Where is that?
It's
that
in the
Command
history
Center?
books, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we'd go and we'd play 80s songs, but we would change them up. So like we would do Dancing with Myself, but we would do it like polka. So it would be like Dancing with Myself, oh, 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 oh. And so all these people were like, yeah, I love the songs. I know these songs, but they're weird. So it was really weird. And
you guys did that Tainted Love? That
Yeah,
was
we
like
did
a
Tainted
two-step, like gypsy kind of song.
sometimes I feel I've got to get away.
Yeah.
It was like all
Really?
Yeah, so it was
We
really
have
weird.
I have the recording of that on my computer.
That's
amazing.
Yeah.
We need to release those
Yeah,
into the wild
it's
for sure.
So
I'd
good.
love to hear it. So you were literally on. So you guys would play these off versions of these 80s songs.
Yeah, and
That's how it
so
started.
and we would pull up in my car, the Phenomenauts, that looks like a spaceship, and we'd get out, we'd do all this stuff, and we'd play all these songs, but we ended up making like 95 cents an hour per person because we weren't good at asking for money. You know, we were just good at like having fun and doing it, and
Right.
people loved us, and they would all cheer and then leave. You know,
Right.
like here, this will be your pay.
You didn't have a thing out for
Yeah.
money?
We
You
did,
did,
yeah.
but we didn't walk around with it, or
Right.
you know, like
You have to have that one guy that walks around with
you
the
gotta
kid.
be like a
The kid,
yeah,
like, you know,
Exactly.
a little orphan Annie walking around
or,
going, please,
or a
sir."
monkey or a small space alien.
A monkey
or
would
something.
also, that
Yeah.
would have been good,
Yeah.
little alien walking
But
around.
so then mine and Jimmy Boom's girlfriends at the time left us. So we're like, oh, okay, well, this is clearly not a success. And, but it was so much fun that we're like, okay, well, let's record these songs because they were so interesting and fun, and we're like, you know, I don't want to lose this forever into the, you know. So we recorded it, and as we were recording it, we're like, no, we should just make a real band,
Right.
and we never did.
Right. But the first show ever was on Fisherman's Wharf. Do you remember it?
I don't remember for sure. It might have been at the Great American Music Hall for Hank 3.
That's a hell of a first, like, club show.
Well, no. It wasn't inside. It was outside.
Oh.
Yeah.
They used to do this thing where they'd play outside of venues they wanted to eventually
Yeah.
play at.
Really?
I think that might have been the first Phenomenauts show that was... Actually, I don't know.
You know,
my,
if
my-
it isn't, that's a good enough story.
my
to
brain
do.
barely keeps my heart going.
Right.
See, I remember you guys. Do you remember how you and I met?
No.
Warped Tour.
Oh.
Warped Tour when you guys showed up and you guys made breakfast for people.
Uh-huh.
The year you guys snuck in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
you kind of snuck
That
in
was the
and
year
started
we snuck
making
in.
breakfast.
They liked us. They liked having hot breakfast, and so they're like, "Let those guys stay. They're gonna keep bringing
Right.
us breakfast."
But then everybody really liked you guys. Period. Like I remember going to see you guys, and then everybody else was like, "They're really good." Like you know, because I think everyone was expecting like. I'm not trying to be mean to any bands on the Warped Tour of the back years, but there were bands that would sneak on that would be like,
yeah.
do you really want to be here right
Yeah.
now? This is kind of rough. But then you guys, everyone was like, dude, you see the Breakfast Band? Phenomenal? They're great. Like, you know, everyone was really
They were
stoked
known
on
as the Breakfast Band.
At
They
first.
d- yeah,
yeah.
definitely. We
At
definitely
first, it
were.
was definitely the Breakfast Band. Like, and
Yeah.
then it was like, then,
I remember doing dishes like every time we'd have to go and do our dishes, and then the Warped Tour crew would let us use their like sink. And I remember this one time the guy's like, he's like, I'll do those dishes. I was like, no, it's fine. He's like, yeah, you go back to your rock and roll job, kid. You're not ready for this dishwashing. I was like, oh, damn it, one day. He was really cool, though.
The crew guy made fun of me.
Yeah, but they were really sweet. Like, they're, like, started doing our dishes and stuff.
No,
like,
it was funny because
thanks,
you guys, that was one thing I wanted to bring up on the show, is that you guys came in and you started doing dishes, and everyone was like, dude, did you see the breakfast band? They're really good. And then you guys went from the breakfast band to everyone going, the Phenomenauts, and you could tell that people were like, you definitely won everybody over that year. Like, everybody was like super into you guys by the end. Like, everybody was like,
I remember they were telling, like, the cooks and stuff were like, we were all betting on whether you'd make it to the end or not.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not easy to get up and make breakfast because you have to get up early and you stay up. You know, it's like,
I don't know how you guys did it.
we were sleeping for like 4 hours a night. It was insane.
Warped Tour is brutal if
It
you're
is.
not in a bus. And I
Absolutely.
mean, it's hard enough if you're in a bus.
Yeah.
There's a brutality to the Warped Tour if you're being driven to it. But the fact that the first time you did it, you guys not only would do it in a van where you drove all night to the next location, which for everybody listening, Warped Tour set up, or at least traditionally while it was this is the last year of it touring, but it was set up so that however long between the venues were not set up for a van, they were set up for a bus. So like they would barrel through the night for, like, if it's 8 hours, it was literally 8 hours to go 80 miles an hour in a bus nonstop all night. So if you're in a van chasing that tour,
Yeah.
it's rough.
You got to have one person that doesn't sleep every single night. And I was always worried that people were going to fall asleep and then we would die. You know, it's like,
Right.
I didn't know
Yeah.
what you guys. I had so much respect because then you guys would get up early, cook for everybody, and then you'd be playing like everybody else. So I was just like, I don't know how you guys did
and
it.
it was hot and like in the south and stuff.
Yeah.
And oh my god.
I don't know. I was like, I don't know how you guys.
But then the next year, Kevin asked you guys to actually come back and have your own stage.
Yes, we had
and
our
you
own
had a bus
stage.
that year.
We had a bus and we had our own stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was much more. You didn't have to get up and cook breakfast every day.
No.
Yeah.
It must have been a little.
Where, did people start not liking you as much because of that?
I don't know.
Hey, where's our Phenomenauts? Where's my breakfast?
I don't know why they stopped liking us.
Yeah.
I don't know which part that happened. Where that happened.
So I wasn't around
but
back
yeah,
then
but-
because I wasn't built yet.
Yeah.
Right.
But
There
when
are
when was
Right.
your initial awakening
Right.
as a sentient being?
Right. So that was in the in December of 2008. Actually, almost 10 years ago.
Really?
Mhm.
See, you seem like such a modern model. I would not have expected you to be a decade old now.
Well, thank you. That's
Yeah.
very flattering.
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
And my first show with the Phenomenauts was actually at the House of Blues in San Diego as main support for the Vandals for their Christmas show.
That's really awesome. That's a hell of a first show.
Yeah. And so, my first show experience is very wildly different than Angels because I got to come in when the band already...
He's like, all right, you paid your dues. All right,
Yeah.
now it's my turn.
Yeah. And I'm gonna act like a big shot.
I can actually go inside.
Yeah.
There's a stage for me.
Yeah, I'm
And-
on the street schlepping around
Yeah.
for 90 cents an hour,
Right.
getting broken up with.
Yeah.
Art just shows up, hey, where's the backstage?
To be fair, I also did a lot of that stuff afterward, and my girlfriend broke up with me about 6 months after I joined the Phenomenauts. So
Yep.
That's
It's like an aphrodisiac, except for the other thing.
yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, this isn't that cool.
yeah.
You
that's
are a
happened to me too.
space guy, you
Yeah.
say.
But it was a cool show, and it was one of the biggest venues I'd ever played at the time because I had only been built a month earlier.
Yeah, I mean seriously.
Yeah,
So.
And
House of Blues
the
are
Vandals
fun
are
to
the
play.
greatest.
They're awesome.
it was fun, and the Vandals were awesome, and they
They're
did
so
this
great.
thing that year. That was the year that video went viral. Jesus is my friend. You know
Yeah.
that Christian ska thing
Oh,
from
right.
the, Jesus is my friend, and they played that in between every single song that night.
And the singer would be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
come on!" And you could see whoever was starting it was like the guitar player or something would just start
Yeah.
laughing, and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no, you're not."
They
gonna do
have
this."
like these bits I noticed that they'll do.
Yeah.
And they'll just like do them to death. Like I once saw Dave, the singer,
Yeah,
where they had Brooks Rockerman playing with them while he was in Bad Religion, and every time he was there, he turned around and they goes, and there will be sorrow, and they start playing the song like, and he'd have to jump in, and they just kept going like between songs, and they're like, and we're gonna play the next one, but there will be sorrow, and like they just jump in. I was like, all right,
that was basically what.
It was so great because it was funny, and then it stopped being funny, and then it started being funny again, which is, you know, it's like
that sounds about par for course.
It was the rake joke principle from The Simpsons. Yeah, applied to a rock show. And that was cool. And there was a band that played that opened the show with these really hot girls. I don't remember what they were called though, and that was fun.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I wonder who that was.
I don't know. But we hung out with them backstage, and they were super flirty.
I'll probably Google that and then like be able to say at the end of it. And the band was.
Yeah.
Tell them that we still love them.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah,
find them and get them on the show.
That was awesome.
And that was a good first show.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like our first show back for my band was a holiday show. You know, I keep trying to convince
with the
them to come
Vandals
up
too.
here. Yeah, the Vandals too.
Yeah. Well, they only played that show, and then they play at a festival or something.
Yeah,
we played with them 3 times, I think, but every time was at something like that.
Yeah, they kind of eased up. I've been trying to get them to come up here. Like, why don't you do a holiday show
at the
here?
Commando Center?
I don't think they ever go anywhere. Do they?
They do.
Yeah.
They're actually playing Sacramento this weekend.
Really?
Yeah, they're playing a festival.
Okay, but it's a festival. What do they play, like 3 shows a year or something?
I don't know. They don't play a lot.
Yeah.
But
you know Scott Ackerman from Comedy Bang Bang, the
Yeah.
podcast? He's good friends with them from back in his Orange County days. And
You think just because he's on a podcast, he knows everyone from podcasts?
Yeah. Isn't that how it works? Would you guys meet up at your podcast meeting?
Like,
That's
yeah.
racist.
He talks about how
It's at
you know,
NPR's office. We all just hang out there.
how they just only want to play a few times a year, and that he just, you know, I don't know, that they're done
I think
being a big touring band.
I've heard of a little bit of conflict there. Like,
So some people want to do that and some people don't.
Yeah, but like they try to respect.
Yeah.
You know, you're only as slow as your slowest runner, I guess. You know, they're trying to like.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish they'd play
But
more.
they did a bit on the Comedy Bang Bang TV show where they played this some really awful character's ska band, and the song was about ska, how great ska was.
Yeah, I think
It
I
was
remember
really
like,
funny. Yeah.
Ska.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
something like that.
But you didn't know it didn't. It started out as it was supposed to be a short film or something, and then it just turned into a ska music video.
Yeah, they have a really like I tour managed them
Oh, really?
for a festival in Canada, and I was like, first off, they're very different in their organization than my band is, so I noticed that right off.
Hmm.
And I told them so. I let them know. I was like, this is how you do your cables. But I was like,
Under over.
yeah, it was really. But the other thing is like they are every bit as sarcastic off stage.
Oh, sure.
As a group, when they get together, they just feed off each other.
Oh, thank
Right.
God.
And like they don't. It's like they're not acting. Like that is how they are. Like the jokes are just like that.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah, me
That's a
too.
real deal.
Yeah.
They're really that sarcastic.
Right.
But okay, so that's a great first show. I mean, that's a lot better than a sidewalk at you know. 50
Seems
floor.
kind of exciting to me, though.
You know.
The Space Patrol.
You don't know,
days.
man. You weren't there.
Yeah.
It's nice to see that there was a growth. I think that gives bands hope. Like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
you know, but
And
it's
that,
pretty
and
cool.
then we'll be back to playing on the sidewalk soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, but you know, I
It's a
have
bell
to
curve.
say, though,
Or we'll think that's where we are, but really we're just crazy. Like, all,
Yeah.
you could still be on the street. Just imagine.
yeah,
It's
exactly. But I
collective
imagine that it's
hallucination.
amazing. Yeah.
You're actually in the corner going,
exactly.
chemical. Yeah, and then you're just,
Chemical.
this is all fantasy.
That's why you came up with that song, because you're just on all these drugs in a psych ward somewhere.
This
That's
is,
where I am right now.
This
Yeah.
is all you're imagining. You imagine both of us, this
Oh my
situation.
God.
Yeah,
Oh, it's fantastic. It's working out for me.
yeah.
You know, it's
You
totally
can,
fine.
you can be like 28 again or whatever.
I am 28.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Could be on
This-
the street, like
Yeah.
crapping your pants. Right
It's
now.
kind of like Ready Player One, except for I believe it.
Right.
It's like the Matrix, but kind of like you do it for yourself.
Yeah. Sorry, we just red pilled you.
He's like, no, I'm
Yeah.
fine. I'm still in.
This is a men's rights activism podcast. Right?
Okay. I'm
No.
gonna kill myself out of here.
Okay, so if those were the first shows, and
Yeah.
it's good to know that you guys are now on stage in clubs because it sounds like you do I know for a fact that you do that better than you do busking on the street. If you forget to ask people for money, it's good that you actually have guarantees now.
Yeah.
We would prefer to play at a club where we have a guarantee.
It's good. It's you know, you do very well at that.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
It works. What would be one of the best shows that you guys think of for each of you that you've played? Like one that stands out as like a moment where you're like, yes.
I mean, I have one just right off the top of my head.
Me too.
Maybe,
Is
I
it
don't
a
know if it's
tiny
named-
little bar
Yeah.
in Germany?
Yes.
That's mine too.
Well, there's a couple from Europe, but
Okay.
the one that I was just thinking, we had an off day when we were in like Nuremberg, Germany a few years ago, and we're friends with this guy who runs this tiny bar. I mean, really tiny. Some people say it's a tiny bar, and you go there and it's like, it's his average size. This was maybe the size of your living room.
Okay.
And he was like,
To put into some audio perspective,
yeah,
the bar was in the middle,
yeah.
and there was a bar stool all the way around it.
All the way around it.
Bar
And then-
stools. I thought you said
Yeah.
bar.
No,
I was like,
they're-
okay, this is a
One
small
yeah.
bar.
bar stools, and then someone could pass by behind.
Yeah, you could like sneak by behind.
That was
That's
it.
on all the sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the bar was pretty big. There was a lot of space behind it, but on the outside, not so much. You could sit at a bar stool and you could walk behind it. One person.
One
at a
person
time.
could single file pass.
But he has
behind
bands
people
play
at the
there.
bar.
Where?
Squeezed into one side of the bar. On one side of the bar, you stand in a row and play. And we he
Keyboards
asked us
were
to
on the
play
bar.
it. He was like, I've had Kepi played in here and all these people, and we're like, well, Kepi played in here because he's one guy with an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
But we did it. So Jimmy Boom sat all the way back at the end of the bar where the bar would open, and he had his hi-hat in that space, and he mounted his snare drum at the top of his kick drum. Just that. And he played like this, and he had to like keep crossing over the bar, right? And then we put the Moog on the bar,
Okay.
and we just had one guitar and bass. I didn't play guitar, I just sang. And we played, and there was like 25 people there or something. It
And
was
we
chaos.
brought everything that we could. Like there was lights and
We put lights
smoke
and banners and smoke
everything,
machines
yeah.
and
You guys
everything.
have a big, like, for anybody who has never seen the Phenomenauts,
Yeah.
they're one of the best at, and I'm saying this even though they're in the room, and I'm not just saying it because they're in the room, one of the best at these huge productions of show. Like, it is a show to see you guys play.
Yeah.
You guys do not half-step it. You never
No.
have. There are lights, there's fog, you get shot with toilet paper, like there's like it's
we brought that.
awesome.
We did all of that stuff.
You did all of that
We
stuff.
did the
as
toilet
well.
paper. Angel stood up on the bar for It's Only Chemical
Wow.
and walked around it, even though it's like only a few feet tall. You had, like there's
And-
glasses hanging
And
down.
what was really funny about that
Yeah.
was I'm singing and I see this tip jar and I can't read what it says, it's in German, and I take out a like €2 and I drop it in there and everyone starts laughing. I later realized that that's a tip jar for us.
Yeah, it was not. It was,
And I thought I was tipping the bartender, and meanwhile it looks like I'm telling him how good of a singer
Yeah.
I am. Like, I'm so good,
yeah, look at
Yeah,
I'm
it
really
was-
conscientious. Tip, ladies and gentlemen, tip your bartenders, like a lounge singer. But that was a tip jar they put out for us because it was just this off. It was a Monday night. We were
Right.
just in Nuremberg or Fürth, or I think it was Nuremberg,
Right.
and it's called Matahari Bar. It's a really awesome little rock and roll bar in Nuremberg if you're ever there.
Yeah.
And we played there, and it was the rockinest show
It was so fun.
we
That
could
is
ever
amazing.
do, and we were just squeezed together. I mean, it was crazy
Yeah,
that we did it.
It was
That is
fantastic.
so funny because
Yeah.
like this
And the
show-
people were just standing on the other side of the bar,
and they're
basically
just all watching.
Yeah.
It's so funny you say that because like on this show has been a theme that if bands go to Europe, they hands down will pull out a European show as one of the best shows.
Mm-hmm.
But usually it's because it's like this big club, everyone went crazy. But I love that your guys is like you're wedged in this little corner of a bar and you're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
playing.
It was
man.
just like so fun, and everyone was like so happy to be there, kind of thing.
It was so awesome.
And yeah, and we were just And the logistics of trying to make it happen was so hilarious. We're like, all right, how are we even gonna fit the drums in here? They're not gonna fit, like
Yeah.
And just made it work.
Yeah, it was really great.
I feel like so many bands would have said that as like could have easily described that situation as like this was one of the worst shows, but like that is one of that you
Absolutely.
guys both separately were like, thinking about the drum bar.
Just because it was so funny,
That's so cool.
and fun.
Yeah, and I think that we take that kind of venue or impossible to play spot as a challenge to just make it a rock and roll victory.
Yeah.
There was that other place in Germany we played, Braunschweig, I think is the name of the town, and it's another tiny. Remember, it was this room where the stage was half of the room, and people would just they called the Gearbox.
I remember the name.
Played there twice, and it's just half of the room is this tiny stage, and half of it is a place space where maybe 25 people can stand.
Right.
And we had some amazing shows there too. The thing about playing in Europe in general, at least mainland Europe, is that it's so much better than touring in the United States.
Nobody I don't know if we've
so
had
much
somebody
better.
outright say that, but like everyone said
It is
that.
a million times
And
better.
I've enjoyed I can't sit here and pretend that it isn't, because I've done it and I loved it and I loved every minute of it.
Let me just tell you people out there, if you're in a band and you can get the plane tickets together and someone to book you shows in Europe, it is so much it's so much better. They'll pay you. They will give you food and as many drinks as you want.
And and how here in the United States they'll give you one drink ticket to smell a drink and like pass it around the band.
Yeah.
Well, there they'll actually just give you unlimited drinks and they don't care how many you drink.
They give you a meal at night and then a lot of times a meal the next morning.
Yeah.
And they let you load your equipment out in the
The
morning.
next day.
The next day.
Plus, they give you a
great.
place to stay. They always have an apartment up a band flat or a hotel down the street that they have deals with. It is so amazing.
The
touring
place is
Europe.
awash in history.
Unfortunately, it costs us so much money to fly over there that it's very hard to do.
Yeah, because there's so many of you guys.
But it's except for England. England is just like touring the United States.
Yeah.
It sucks just as much.
Yeah.
But
Jolly old my ass.
yeah. It might even be a little worse. But everything else, especially Germany and Switzerland, Italy, Belgium, France, it's all so great.
We had a tougher time in Italy because
Yeah.
Italians could be a bit aggressive with women.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
of
We
course.
had that kind of problem where they were like, "Oh, American girl that sings, you're a slut." Then it's like,
Right.
"No, she's not."
Right.
You know, step
And
back.
also, you got some growing up to do.
Yeah,
Right.
It was a little weird. But
We haven't been to Europe with a female band member, but we have one now for the last few years. So I imagine if we go back, we might have to deal with that.
It was we only dealt with it in Italy.
Yeah, that's what I mean, in Italy,
Supposedly
yeah.
Spain had it a little bit, but like they didn't really do anything.
Right.
But Italy was grabby. But this was a long time ago. This is still about a decade ago. We're supposedly going back next year. But
Italy did have
see.
really good food though.
But I remember, they did. They really did. But it was funny because we talked to No Doubt, and they said the same thing.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were like, "Yep, Gwen hated it
Right.
because of that." They were just because if you get too close, they grab you and they try to pull her down.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, whoa, like
like zombies, kind of.
Yeah.
kind of weird. It's a little, and it gets a little inappropriate. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to call out my Italian brethren, but like they were,
Yeah.
like the only time
I'm an
I ever-
Italian model also.
you are
My
okay,
robot
exactly, yeah.
parts were made in
The
Italy.
only time I've ever had to unsling my bass and threaten to smack somebody in the crowd with it was in Italy, and it was because they wouldn't let it go.
Right. Wow.
So but and that's the only time that's ever happened where I've ever been like, I'm gonna, am I gonna have to hit you?
Right.
And then they were like, oh.
Right.
But
Yeah, and then just one other show that was also in Europe that maybe it wasn't the best show, but it was such a crazy triumph, I thought, for the band, is we, for whatever reason, headlined the second day of a metal festival in the Black Forest. Well, we had played there before, and the metal guys that ran the place really liked us, so they put us on the bill
Just
as
threw us on, right?
as the headliner, though. So if you look at the poster, it's all like metal ease writing, and then
Yeah.
the Phenomenauts.
It looks like a bunch of twisted bushes. And
Yeah,
you can't read it.
yeah.
And then us.
And it was at it gets better. It was at a old World War II munitions bunker in the Black Forest.
Wow.
And
so it's all brick castle kind of.
Yeah, and we played, and I remember we started playing. There's all these metalheads in the crowd, and they're just all kind of like have their arms crossed, and they're like kind of not. We started purposefully with kind of like a really rockin' song to get them on our side, and it only took the first 8 bars for them to just start headbanging. It was awesome, but it was very slow. It was like a slow clap, but a headbang. It was like. Yeah, that was awesome.
That is,
and then they brought out a coffee maker the next morning.
Oh, so that we could have coffee.
Yeah, like they pulled it out, and we're like, yes, they have a coffee maker. We were so excited because we're so used to the terrible coffee that all of Europe has.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that because I don't drink coffee because I don't need it as a robot. I just push a button and I get a little boost.
A little boosting. Yeah.
There is another really great show that was another victory, so I don't know if we're only... Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to play in the front of the California Music Awards, which is over in Oakland at the... I don't even remember what the name that place is. But so we're pulling up, and there's like not any kind of cluster of people, really. I don't know if we were a little bit late or what happened. But so one of our guys goes... He's like, I'm going to run inside and figure it out. And he gets himself backstage somehow. I think he asked for somebody's pass or something who was leaving, and then he went and like finagled us up a bunch of other passes, and we brought all of our gear in there to do what we call a Commando Show, which is it's like runs off a battery, and then everything runs
like
off
a guerrilla show outside of the California Music.
Everything
before I was built, but
everything was running off of a dolly. It was like this,
your battery.
Yeah,
repurposed.
There was like this stack like of speakers and processors and everything and a battery and all this stuff all on this one dolly, so you can just like tote it all in, plug in and play. And so we just started playing in the backstage of this thing, and it was Smash Mouth and No Doubt and Sammy Hagar. It was like California Music Awards, so it was like we're in the backstage, so it's just all like the like backstage, and it was a bunch of people back there, and we just started playing, and everyone's like, yeah, and the security came in, and they're like trying to unplug us, and they can't figure it out, and they're like, finally they're like, look, will you just please just stop? We're like, okay. And then so we're like loading our stuff out, and people are like, yeah, that was really great. And then a couple of our guys went and just like got a bunch of their beer. And so like we went with a bunch of their beer and like took it and just like drove off, and we're like, ha. It was like this super rock and roll victory. We went and played, and yeah, it was hilarious.
That's pretty
and
awesome.
we left with all this beer. We're driving away. We're like, we're the greatest.
I was hoping it ended like that episode of The Wonder Years where Kevin Arnold's band is about to play, but then they get shut down by the cops, and all the kids go, "Let them play, let them play."
Yeah, like Smash Mouth comes out.
Yeah,
I want to hear it.
Hey, now you're an all-star.
See,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, that should have happened. But it's still kind of awesome. You got to
Yeah.
make off with their beer.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And they made out with it later.
Yeah, with the beer later.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, so those are great stories. I mean, those are
We
pretty
actually have
epic.
so many, I feel like, stories
do
like
too.
that
Yeah.
where it's always a show that could be the worst show ever that turns into the
just
best
turns
show.
around.
Yeah.
But what happened when it was the worst show ever?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, I know you have I'm sure that there.
This is the one that's been hardest for me to.
What about the Great American Music Hall show for the SF Weekly Awards or whatever?
That's a good.
I wasn't
show.
there for it, but I know that it was
Yeah.
just this horribly frustrating
That
thing
was
happened.
awful. Yeah. Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So we got nominated for SF Weekly like lifestyle band. They had like this award, and like we were the lifestyle band, and it was us and Extreme Elvis and a couple other people, and you had to vote, and so we won it, and we're really excited, and so we're playing the thing. And
it was a big show at the Great American Music Hall.
Right,
Yeah.
And so we're like, let's do this bit. We're gonna do this bit where I just start playing a guitar solo and just like fall back, and Professor Greg was to grab me, like catch me by my shoulders, and then throw me back up at the end of the solo.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of leaned back and do a solo, and he was gonna throw me back up.
Right.
But my processor at the time, my guitar amp, had a jack in the front instead of on the back,
Right.
and they didn't make them with it on the back, which was so annoying. But so he like falls back and his back hits into my plug and just breaks it off. So my guitar solo goes "Willy," and just stops, and I'm like, oh, this is the worst. And then I get back up and we're all like, oh crap, what happened? We're all like, everyone's just like looking at us and we're like, uh-oh. And so we're like, we figure out what's going on. And we're like, well, you know, like, is there an amplifier we can use? Does anybody have a head that we can finish our set? And like nobody did, or nobody would. It was just like
nobody would offer one.
There was tons of other bands playing, right?
There was a few other bands playing.
Someone had a guitar amp that you could use.
There's probably
but
but just everyone was just
offer it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was people really wanted Extreme Elvis to win there. I think maybe because he was great and he deserved it. Also,
Right.
like he was absolutely great,
Yeah.
and I totally get that. But what are we gonna not be excited to win? Of course, we
Right.
I don't know. So yeah, so we just. That was just the end of the set. We're like, all right, thanks. Yeah.
How many songs into the set was it?
Oh, it was about halfway.
So then you had to just cut the whole. You just stopped playing.
That was it.
Oh my god.
That's just up because it's like, I don't know. You could definitely tell it wasn't a punk rock show because generally, I mean, there are cons to punk rock shows, but like one of the pros is
someone will run and give you an amp and bring it up and plug it in for you.
Never not gotten.
I've
like,
definitely
something
done
went
that.
wrong.
Totally.
Somebody has brought a bass. Somebody's brought.
I've
strings,
changed some opening band
anything,
strings.
like,
No,
I feel like. Oh, sorry to interrupt.
No.
But I feel like if that happened now to us and we were getting nothing from anybody, we would just keep playing. I'd hand you my guitar, you would play, and then we would just keep going. I think we would just roll with it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. Because we switch instruments and stuff all the time now, so we could just figure it out.
Yeah.
Just,
that would be.
Yeah. But that sound, I mean, you had to cut the set short. That sucks so much.
It really did. We just had to like, all right.
Yeah, that's all you get.
Yeah. There have been bad shows. You said earlier, a show that's just like, why am I just want to quit playing music.
Yeah.
And I don't know why this show I remember as being that moment. I remember actually saying that to Jimmy Boom after the show.
Oh, really?
Like, there was this moment in the middle of the set where I just wanted to quit playing. I was like, what am I doing? We were playing this club in San Diego. I can't remember what it was. And it's a very weirdly set up club. And we were just having all these sound issues. And we had a sort of interim keyboard player, hype man type person in the band at the time that was caused a lot of chaos on stage.
Right.
And for whatever reason, that it was too much, that show. And there was tuning issues with the Moog was out of tune, and I don't know, something was just, it all came together in this cacophony, and it was just, I think you probably remember it too.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And
I remember being like, oh, this person's just the worst.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not said. We also had our wonderful touring keyboard player FM Static from the Epoxies playing with us on that tour as well, and he's awesome. But we had a sort of dual switching off keyboardist thing at that time for that tour. Yeah, and
so it really
yeah
shone a light on how
and there was just these moments during the set where there was also the sound was bad in the club. It was just all these factors contributed to. It was just hurting my ears. Yeah, and I just couldn't believe that we just kept going. It was the worst set I think we ever played. And afterwards, I just remember being like, "What?" Obviously, we weren't going to quit. We were in the middle of a tour, but I just felt that way.
Just like, that you're just defeated.
Yeah.
No, I definitely, and that's the reason why I asked this question. Sometimes these are the best stories at the end but they're like these moments where you're just like. You're on tour and it's so long, and if there's somebody that's just bugging you, it gets worse and worse and worse. And then like you're trying to be cool about it, and it just kind of wears you down. And then when stuff goes wrong on top of that, like
it was really not even about the person as a person. It was just the technical ability and the quality of what was happening on stage, and the noise, and just the. There was feedback from the venue, and it was just everything was horrible. And of course, I don't know, it's just.
And if you're playing with somebody who doesn't notice how bad they sound, and they sound really bad. It's like really frustrating. Like, how
There was
are
no
you not
self-correcting
noticing? Yeah, how are
happening.
you not
See,
tuning this? How
That's
are you
the funny
not
thing, 'cause
noticing
it's like
this?
I'm definitely not the best bassist in the world, and I'm
Right.
the first one to say that. And but I know that if you give me a stage, I'm going to go off and have a good time, and I'm going to make sure that I
Right.
I hold my part down at least
Yeah.
to some. And I hear when I know exactly where I screwed up. There's no
Right.
nobody can come up to me and go. Nobody has to come up to me
You're
and
like,
go
I
like,
know.
you messed up in that third
Sometimes
take.
I'll
No,
raise.
no,
Sometimes I'll raise my hand.
You're like-
I don't know why. I want to mess up my me.
Yeah, you're like, I did that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've noticed that before.
That's because I don't mess up.
Oh, right.
But at the same, but it does blow me. Yeah, I have been blown away in the past in bands
Right.
that I've been in, where I'm like, just sitting there going, do you not hear that?
We have been fortunate to have almost all people play in the band that can tell when something's wrong with their instrument, or it's out of tune, or they're playing the wrong chord, or whatever,
Right.
and they'll self-correct, or at least after the show be like, hey, I think I messed this up. What's the right chord?
I had
seem to.
Yeah.
my guitar. It must have got bumped or something, so the bridge moved. And
That was
so
just like a couple months ago,
yeah,
right?
and the intonation was off, and everyone's like, "What was going on?" And I'm like, "I don't know.
Yeah,
I couldn't."
I can hear
And then
it.
I looked. I'm like, "Oh,
His bridge
my-
was knocked over,
my
right?
whole
Yeah.
it was like scooted back like a half an inch, so
Yeah.
the whole intonation was like all.
Yeah.
So
just
I would tune it, and all the strings would be perfectly in key, but all the like the mathematical points had all moved.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was like every single note was like wonky, and everyone's like, "What?
I remember that show
Why
being
do you?
pretty bad.
Why do you sound so terrible?" I
Yeah.
was like, "I don't know.
No, that's a big. That's
I
a
don't
big
know.
thing.
I'm super talented. I don't get it."
But you know that,
But you knew. But you wasn't like you were like, no,
No,
it's
it was,
fine."
but it was driving me nuts. I'm like, "What in the hell is
Yeah.
going on?"
and yeah, I mean that's most of the shows that seem like they're bad or they end up being bad are ones where it's just there's some technical flaw, like technical thing happening. I don't remember any time where it's like seems like it's gonna be really shitty, or like we've gotten shut down in the middle of sets because the fire alarm went off from our smoke machine or whatever.
Yeah,
we played.
it was like
we played it.
one or two songs in,
Yes,
wasn't it?
A
One?
few years ago, we were playing at that. What's
Berkeley.
that place at Berkeley that's not exactly associated with the school, but it's like a student hall. I don't know that it's technically part of UC Berkeley, but it's a student hall. I don't know. It's some anarchist collective kind of place. I don't know.
No, I don't
We were playing. We were halfway through the second song, and the fire alarms all went off. Firemen came in. They shut us down completely. We were not allowed to keep starting. The organization that was having the show got in trouble, and everyone. There was hundreds of kids there. We went all out into the parking lot, and there was just all these kids everywhere in the parking lot, and the show was just shut down. And so then we grabbed the ukulele and started playing Animal Robot Show songs to the crowd.
Right.
We played a few, and then we were like, okay, well, we got paid in advance, so
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
and we made it fun. I mean,
Yeah.
so that could have been the worst show, but
Yeah.
it wasn't because we had fun
You had fun
in the
no
parking
matter what.
lot singing songs with and everyone was like, "Yay, that was great!" And
Yeah.
it's more intimate anyway, and
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny how it works out though. But like when technical problems happen, generally it's like
Yeah.
I just feel like, at least to me, it sometimes will feel like it's like sand through your fingers. You're like trying everything you can to save this, and
Yeah.
there's just it's not happening.
Yeah. And there have been shows also where, we play rock and roll and can get loud and aggressive, punk rock kind of stuff, but we're not really into certain ways that people like to quote unquote dance in the audience, especially when they're just have no regard for the safety of our very young and often female fans in the front row
Right.
that are getting just pummeled in the back of the head or whatever, and we've had to
the shoving, like always
punching
and noise.
Yeah.
I love a good pogo pit where everyone's just kind of bouncing off each other gently, and it's like you bump into each other, and it makes it really fun.
Yeah.
And it's
But
great.
people fall, they pick each other up.
Exactly.
Keep going.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can definitely tell a difference. There's a difference between a violent pit.
But then
And,
people like start shoving each other, and then they you're standing there and someone like runs hard into your back and you're not ready for it and you're holding your neck throat. I'm just like, and
we've had fans injured in there. They weren't even trying to be in the pit, and just some knucklehead is there that thinks they're a tough guy.
And it only takes one idiot to ruin the whole thing. It's like everyone else is like having a great time, and then there's just one oaf that comes in there and just starts shoving into people,
throwing fists
and like pushes in a direction as hard and as far as they can, where everyone else is just like, well, I'm not doing that, so I'm not ready for that.
We had to stop in Japan once. We had to stop everyone because there were American soldiers who were pitting way too heavily and trying to crowd surf on the top of these little Japanese kids.
Yeah.
And the kids were trying to give as good as they got, but like we were just watching all of a sudden because it's dark. Sometimes you're like, wait, what just happened there? You weren't necessarily looking, but you see somebody just take out a whole bunch of kids. You're like, stop. We had to stop mid-song and be like, guys, like you're hurting people. Like, please. Like there were Americans that had come out and they were just these towering soldiers.
Yeah.
I found out later they were soldiers because they apologized, but I was like, you guys were taking kids out. Like they were at least not so knucklehead that they didn't like once they got called out, they eased it back.
They used to discipline.
But they took out. We just watched kids just go down. Like, what are you doing? Like,
and I gotta say that we say controversial stuff on our social media sometimes about science and religion and stuff like that. But I will say that the thing that we get the most shit about when we post about it online is asking people not to violently mosh at our shows. And people get so offended and will argue with us in comment threads on Twitter and Facebook about it. It's ridiculous. It's like,
really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Barely anyone will comment if we say something atheist but when we ask people to just dance nice at our shows, that's when, hey, you can't tell us what to do, it's our show, it's the scene, man, or whatever. I don't know.
Wow. I don't even know how to react.
And it's
to
like,
that.
have you ever listened to us and our music?
But it's also they're missing
out.
out.
You're not the knucklehead band. Like that's not.
They're also missing out because I've been to like Briefs shows or Spitz shows where everyone knows how to do it right, and it's the greatest.
Oh,
so great.
Thing.
Yeah. So
great.
everyone's
just like bouncing off and like spastic dancing around, like doing the quirky jerk and all like.
Well, that's one of the things I was gonna say about that. I feel like with Europe sometimes when we were talking about that, like when we talk about Europe shows and how they remind me of shows in the kind of the 90s when it was a much smaller. I don't mean to date myself, but like much smaller scene when I was going to shows and going to watch people play. Like it just felt like we weren't so brutal, and when someone brutal was coming in, we'd react to it. Whereas sometimes now, I don't know if everybody knows how to treat each other out there. Like and they got this weird version. Like I've been to shows where everybody's lost their shit going crazy and nobody got hurt.
No, and everybody was super fun, and you're just and you're all sweaty and you're bumping into everyone, and everyone else is it's like. It's the greatest. You're totally bumping into each other.
It's the funnest.
But there's no one shoving you in the back as hard as they can.
To hurt somebody.
Yeah. Yep.
It's weird.
So it hasn't been so bad lately, but there was a time a few years ago where it was just every show we'd have to. There was a show where this guy looked like he was going to attack our girlfriends in the front row at a show in Santa Cruz.
Really?
And I had to jump into the crowd and like push him down.
Wow.
And kick him out of the show.
When AR-7 he switches modes, all these weapons come out.
Yeah. And then people complained about that on our Facebook the next day.
Yeah, they're like, what do you think, you're Iron Giant?
Yeah. I complained about all my attachments. What do you think, Swiss Army Man? That movie hadn't come out yet.
Yeah, so, but I mean, it might have inspired. Maybe they were there, they saw it.
Yeah.
No, but that's messed up. Like, that's weird, because it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's, I guess I haven't encountered that kind of entitlement, but I've heard of things like it, like seeing kind of discussions about, like, I was shocked when, what was the band? What was Tiger Jaw? Is that what they called? There was a band with a woman in the band, and a fan jumped up on stage, grabbed her, and kissed her, and dove on the stage, and she stopped the show, she's like, that is not okay. I do not like that. Don't ever do that. And then there was, like, debate about
what's the debate?
I know,
like that's wrong.
Yeah,
or that's super
assault.
wrong.
That's assault, man.
Wait, where's the debate, man? Because like I don't see the debate. Like no, like I would never, even at my most drunken, crazy, like, I'm at a show, punk rock. It would never have even occurred to me to go on stage and try and, like, kiss
without permission.
Anybody in the band. I'm not even the type that gets up on stage.
I would never even get up on stage.
I never got up on stage until I was on
Unless
stage.
someone asked me to.
Yeah, like, no, I never went up. Like, I'd see people try and jump up. I just didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. So it always
I've jumped on stage in order to jump off stage.
Yeah, I don't have any problem. I never did that myself, but I mean, I'm not saying that that's bad. But I was just like, I never even occurred to me to go up and like, why would I mess with them? I'm listening to them.
Right, and they're trying to do something.
Why would I try and kiss that person? Like, you know, it's like, that just seems... I was just shocked that online and the music sites and stuff that there was any debate about that. Like, I couldn't believe, like, no.
Yeah, what kind of justification were the people that were pro...
Well, they were just like, it's not a big deal. It was just, you know, they're making a big deal out of nothing. They were just trying to have a good time and be,
So they weren't necessarily pro it. They were just trying to be an asshole and be a devil's advocate.
Yeah, like, you know, these are punk rock shows and da-da-da-da. And I was like, well, number one, they're an indie rock band. But I still don't think in a punk show that there's any sort of justification that's in the right.
I don't think there's anywhere in the world where you can just walk up and grab and kiss a woman without her consent. Like,
I mean, anybody though. I mean,
absolutely.
It's like, you know, it's like, so I was just sort of like, I don't know why you're debating this. So, like, that's the only thing, and I just witnessed that as a person on music sites, and I saw that debate come up, and I was like, why are we talking about this? What should I feel like this would be like? Yeah, he was wrong. Like, and that's the end of the discussion, right? But it wasn't. So that kind of entitlement I saw, but I had never seen, anybody take that stance of like, no, we get to do what we want. But I totally see that in people, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm glad I haven't run into it, and I hope I don't have to.
Yeah.
But that's weird that you guys have to tell people to just be nice.
Like 100 times.
It's like, so be nice.
It's a constant thing. And people, the funniest and worst time is when we're playing, you know, It's Only Chemical or something, and people try to do it, or trying to start a pit.
During that, like
songs like that.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Weird.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if we just have a bunch of like nerds coming to our shows that have never been to a show before and think that's what you're supposed to do, or I don't know.
I mean, like, you know, I don't know. Like, I've had a lot of great experiences at your guys' shows. I've always thought that
usually it's great.
Usually
it's great.
But
we can always see the jerk from the stage. Like, there's the jerk. There's that one person right there.
And it's always worse when there's less people at the show, because then they think they have this big wide area to strut around in and
then they like kind of shove everyone until everyone backs out, and then it's just from our perspective there's like this giant hole, and you're like, no, this is not the audience I wanted. Like, this is a donut version of the audience I wanted. It sucks.
No, I totally know what you mean. Like,
there's this big hole, and you're like, we had this great crowd, and everyone was like going crazy, and it was fun, and then all of a sudden, it's just...
Yeah, and I mean, I want everyone to have a good time, but like not at the expense of everybody else.
Yeah.
You know? And just so everybody knows, also listening, those big holes in the thing that you just clear out when you do that, like there's nobody, everybody's moved away, and there's a big gaping hole. That just sucks from the stage. You just look at it like,
especially at a smaller place too, like bottom of the hill or whatever, when that happens, and everyone's just standing back near the bar or something.
Yeah, I'm doing like, great.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I wanted. Nope. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, of course.
That was great. Those were
and hey, stories. The internet or the world, we're gonna be playing at the Phoenix Theater on the 20th
of April.
And it's a benefit with Tsunami Bomb and Kepi Guli and the Exit Plan.
Yeah.
And it's a benefit for all those people whose houses got burned up.
There's still people who need help even after the cameras all went away.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of money was donated and went out, but there's, you know, it was a lot of people lost.
Well, that's the thing. They don't just need help and financial support right after a disaster.
Yeah, and then
they'll need it continually.
Yeah, you need it for months. So it's kind of nice to be able to do this. And we haven't gone back to the Phoenix. We haven't played the Phoenix. That's our home club. Like, that's where we first played.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited to be there with you guys.
I'm really excited to go back there too. We haven't been there in a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I heard it's doing well, so I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, we haven't been there in a few years.
Yeah. I'll tell you, one time, like they had this foosball table there, and it was missing guys, and there was like some foosball players were entirely made out of duct tape, and it was just a tragic foosball table you couldn't even play on. So I went to the store and I got a bunch of foosball guys, painted them all like Phenomenauts, and then I was gonna just like go in there and like put all Phenomenauts on one side and whatever working guys we had for the other side, and it was just gonna be my gift to the Phoenix Theater. And I was all excited. I had my ratchet, I had my screw gun. I was like, all right. And I went there and I was like, hey, where's the foosball table? And what's his name that runs it?
Tom Gaffney.
Tom's like, oh, we threw that out. And I was like, oh, son of a bitch. So I just went home and put them on
your foosball table.
Foosball
Yeah.
table.
I remember the foosball table. I'm really sorry that didn't happen. I would have.
Yeah. It would have. Yeah, I wasn't gonna tell anyone. I was just gonna like.
Yeah.
But if you go to the command center now and see our foosball table, those aren't the same ones that I made. Somebody else, Johnny.
One of our little cadets.
Yeah. And
I saw the foosball table at the Halloween show. No.
Yeah, the zombie party.
Zombie party.
And then those are always great shows too. I mean, I think a few years ago we always dress up in costume and then play songs related to the costume. And 4 years ago we dressed up as David Bowie's.
Oh, wow.
All different David Bowies.
Before
this is long,
that was great.
Just our tribute
Big
before he died.
Was really fun.
But I think the Bowie show was one of the best shows we ever played.
Rick and Morty was like probably my second favorite.
We practiced more for that Bowie show than we practiced for any other show because we learned 5 Bowie songs, and those are not easy.
No.
We played Life on Mars,
and the guitar solos are
No, he's amazing.
difficult.
Yeah. No, when you start breaking down the songs, you're like, oh,
yeah,
he's a genius.
Yeah.
It's funny because my sister had never seen you guys, and I took her to the zombie party, and I had just been started showing her Rick and Morty, and she got way into it. And then you guys unveiled, she's like, "What? Are they Rick and Morty?" And I was like, "Yes, they appear to be Rick and Morty right now." And like, she got super excited.
Yeah.
She is so excited for this show.
That's cool.
Because of that, she's like a huge fan of your guys' now.
Nice.
She loved everything. So
cool.
Awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, and I'm stoked. Kepi, dude.
Kepi's gonna be there. It's gonna be awesome.
I love Kepi. So I asked him for advice when he was in Groovy Ghoulies and we played with him. It was like our 3rd or 4th show ever, and I was like, "How do I get my band to be like your band?" Like they were on Lookout at the time.
Yeah.
Lookout was still going. I was like, "What do I do?"
Yeah.
And he gave me some advice. It was good advice. It was just like, well, if there's a label you want to be on, try and play with all those bands.
You know, we had a rule in the Phenomenauts, and
Still have it.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. If you don't like Kepi, there's something inherently wrong with you.
He's one of the nicest people
Yes,
ever.
he is. And we had this bus driver. It was that Warped Tour the first time we had a bus, and he was driving us and Kepi, or Groovy Ghoulies, and he's like, I don't like that Kepi, and we're like, band meeting. All right, you're fired. We're buying your bus. We like bought his bus and gave him a plane ticket home.
Oh, it was his bus.
It was his bus.
Wow.
He was like, okay. I mean, he didn't mind selling it, but we're like, this is what we're gonna do. We're sending you home.
And which bus was that? That was the Titan?
That was the Titan.
Wow.
PSS Titan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine not liking Kepi.
I can't either.
Really
How could
good
you?
guy.
How could you not like him?
No, it was
like
clear
a
that that guy
sweetheart.
there's something inherently wrong with
Yeah.
him.
There's only a few people that make that list where I was like, if you don't like them, I don't know about you.
I don't know
but
about
like
you.
Kepi's on the list.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's like,
Yeah, it's like, what? How?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I'm stoked to see. I don't like his show. Is he playing with a band this time, or is he playing?
I think a
just him?
Phenomenaut rhythm section.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's the worst kind.
I believe that they have been his backing band the last couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. So because the last time I saw him, it was just him. So
Yeah.
I'm stoked to see.
And I'll be a backup singer in the audience.
There you go. I probably will be too.
Feels like your heart is breaking. Seems it's the end of the world. Feels like your soul is crushed, but it's not. It's only chemical.
You've been listening to Commander Angel Nova and Leftenant AR-7 from the band The Phenomenauts. Oh, and gentlemen, just so you know, that all-girl band you were talking about that opened the show you played with the Vandals, Leftenant AR-7's first show, they were called Wild Weekend. And just so you know, ladies, the Phenomenauts still love you. If you want to find out more about Wild Weekend, you are absolutely on your own. But if you want to find out more about the Phenomenauts, you can find them at Phenomenauts.com. Phenomenauts. For those of you who are in the area, on Friday, April 20th, you can catch my band Tsunami Bomb with the Phenomenauts, Kepi Gooley, the nicest guy ever, and the Exit Plan at the Phoenix Theater in Petaluma, California. Proceeds from the show will go to the Redwood Empire Food Bank, who've been providing food for countless people since 1987, and that includes victims of the recent North Bay fires, and to the Sonoma County Music Coalition, who are providing scholarships for children that were affected by the fires. For details on the show, visit thephoenixtheater.com, and tickets are on sale right now. I hope you'll see you there. If you want to find out more about 3 Gigs, check out our website at 3gigspodcast.com. You can see bonus content of all of our guests, including some live footage of the Phenomenauts. You can also find us online on our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, just by searching 3 Gigs Podcast. Give us a follow and let us know what you think. Anyone you want to hear on the show? Let me know. I'll see what I can do. Our theme music for the show was Science and Honor by the Phenomenauts, from their album For All Mankind, out now on Springman Records, aka Silver Sprocket Bicycle Club. And we're closing with It's Only Chemical, also by the Phenomenauts, from their album Escape Velocity, out now on Silver Sprocket Bicycle Club. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Dominic Davey, and this is 3 Gigs, and we'll see you next time.
Feels like your heart is breaking. Seems it's the end of the world. Feels like your soul is crushed, but it's not.